Coming up next on Your World.
You know, our guest today knew he wanted to be an entertainer by the time he was 10. Earlier this year, he starred in the BET television miniseries New Edition, playing the classic R&B boy group's lead singer, Ralph Tresvant. Now, he has been cast in the lead role, as a result of it, of the Academy Award-winning director Catherine Bigelow's featured film about the 1967 Detroit riots. And today, this young man joins us to talk about how his stepfather took on the role of dad to support and to guide his son to success, even at the expense of his own dreams. Get ready, because you're in for an inspiring half hour. Next, right here on Your World.
Changing one life, time after time. Oh Lord, we do it all for you.
Through the trials I see, I'll always believe a new life starts with me. Oh, change your world today. Change is gonna come your way. Change and get an understanding. His grace will transform you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to Your World, Algie Smith. Where is he? Where is he? Hey, man. How you doing? Good to see you. I'm doing good.
How y'all doing?
Yep, last time I saw you, you were about like this.
Yeah.
Singing around in a little group called, what was that thing?
KF2.
KF2.
Yeah.
And the next time I saw you, you was on television.
Yeah.
You became a starer. And when I looked at that miniseries, and I'm thinking, who is that? He's familiar. Who is that?
Yeah.
And somebody says, that's John's son. And I'm thinking, talking about the little bit like you stayed little like that all your life. Talking about the little kid you used to run around singing and dancing. Man, I tell you what, we were so very proud.
Thank you.
And what an amazing job you did.
Thank you.
I want you to allow us to come into your world. There are guys, girls, they're suffering because they're growing up without a father. Fatherlessness is not a black thing, it's not a white thing. It's in every ethnic group. And there's some things you can share with us to help these guys come out of the situation they're in. I mean, they're hurting, they're on drugs, they're quitting everything, they're asking the question, what's wrong with me? And I believe today we can put together a package that's gonna set a lot of people free. So let's start off. First of all, what was it like for you having to experience not having your biological father there?
For like the first 5 or 6 years, or like the first 4 or 5 years, it was me and my mom. I just specifically remember, getting calls like saying, I'll be there, you know what I'm saying? I'll be there to pick you up. I'll be there to come kick it with you. And I would be waiting outside and it would never happen. Or I would just ask my mom, why don't any of my family ever come to see me? And it seemed like it only happened when I went to their house. That's when I got to see them. And then growing up older, when I was like 15 or 16, still never really mending that relationship with my biological dad. Just get on the phone like with the forgiveness in my heart, trying to figure out why, you feel what I'm saying? So, but now I have my wonderful dad in my life. And you know, he's been there since I was like 4 or 5 years old. I'm 22 years old now, so that's pretty much all I know.
Tell me about that. I mean, John comes into your life. Here's this guy coming into your life.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that when he first showed up?
I was ecstatic at first, to be honest with you. I remember specifically one time before my mom and my dad got married. There was a place called Cedar Point, and I just kept asking him, are you coming to Cedar Point with me? And I kept calling him Dad. He said, I just kept calling him Dad. He's like, I ain't your daddy yet, boy. You still call me Dad. Yeah, those were specific times that I remember that honestly, like, you know, started that bond and what I needed. If it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be into music like I am, which led me to acting. I wouldn't be into acting like I am. It just opened so many doors. I don't think that was coincidence at all. I think he was meant for my mom. I think they were meant for each other.
You know, watching you as you talk about him, the magic is still there.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's something about the phrase dad. You can be a father, but what does it take to be a dad in your eyes from what you've experienced? I mean, you said you start calling him dad before they were married. Your mother probably like, man, you're gonna run him away. Stop, back up, quit saying that, you know? But what was it that moved you to refer to him as dad?
At that age, I think it was just longing for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Wanting it. And then seeing how good he made my mom feel, even as a young age, I probably understood that. But to elaborate on the question, I feel like what makes a dad is like erasing everything that's on the man law. Like men can't cry. I feel like it's one of the most beautiful things when a man shows vulnerability. You know, passionate about what he cares about. You know, whether it's hurt or whether it's happy. Being there, tough love, letting me learn stuff on my own, but also giving me advice and guidance. And then sometimes telling me no when I need to be told no.
Your dad did something, it really ministered to me. What were the sacrifices that you have seen that he's made for you and the one that impacted you the most?
Just seeing him give up so much to see me to help my career, from time and effort, spending every hour in the studio with me until I became okay enough to where I can go do it on my own. But he coached me, taught me everything that I know. So sacrificing his time for that, he didn't have to. I'm his son, but he could have just been like, do what you want to do. And he just sat there and taught me everything. So I'm sorry.
Everybody that sits on that couch sheds tears, okay?
I think it's because
I don't know why. Don't blame me for it. I sit here and I wonder, like, I'm sitting up here like, there's nothing to cry about today. And here you are talking about, excuse me. I'm like, oh man, what's on that couch?
So you can feel it. It's the spirit on this couch.
Like I do everybody.
But nah, I feel like one of the biggest sacrifices that both of my parents made was when I was 16, we went to LA for the first time. We all moved out there. We had nowhere to stay, nothing. We just moved on faith. And it was hard, of course. We were struggling. We was all homeless, sleeping in the expedition. So it's about 5 or 6 of us cooped up in the expedition. Get off me, you feel what I'm saying? All of that. And just trying to figure it out. That was one of the biggest sacrifices I've seen my whole family make for me.
I remember the time when that happened, because I'm losing my guitar player, my technician. I mean, he could do all these things. Yeah. And I'm thinking, no. What you mean? Where you going? Where you going? My son.
Yeah.
My son. And I thought, man, that so ministered to me. That ministered to me, you know, like he doesn't even know. Because at that time I'm all over the place and I'm not home. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm everywhere. And to see a man make a decision that I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this thing. And that not only ministered to you, not only ministered to me, but it ministered to a whole lot of people. I don't think y'all even know that.
Yeah, yes.
But we was praying. We was like, Lord, if he make a mistake, let him come back home. But I am so blessed to be able, as we celebrate Father's Day, to have this intimate conversation with you so that people can hear your story. And you're inviting us into your world to let people know that it was not without sacrifice. There was a price that needed to be paid. I mean, you know as well as I do, there are people that think that, great things happen without sacrifice, without work, without diligence. I mean, I hear the diligence of you, perfecting your craft and doing it until you can do it the best that you possibly can.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to congratulate you for that.
Thank you, sir.
That's
Appreciate
pretty
it.
When we come back, his stepfather and biggest supporter, John Ely, he's going to join us to talk about how he and Algie bonded and developed a real father-son relationship. And we'll ask John how becoming a stepfather affected his relationship with his own biological son, Jonathan. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You've seen the show. Now come and be a part of it. Join Dr. Dollar and guests as they explore the issues of life, love, and personal growth.
The show was designed to provide hope so that people could understand the grace of God and His unmerited, undeserved favor to make the difference in your life.
For free tickets to be a part of our studio audience, email yourworld@worldchangers.org or online at yourworldwithcreflo.com.
Our next guest, John Ellie, was already the father of a young boy when he married Algie's mother and became his stepfather. Now, John said he recognized Algie's disappointment in not having his biological father in his life, so he tried to teach Algie not to depend on others and to be strong. Please help me welcome John Ellie. There you go. Woo! Now, you got to understand this man's quite a musician. He can make a guitar say, "Hey, how you doing?" and then turn around and make it say it in French. Man, it's been a journey, hasn't it? Yeah. And I want to congratulate you. When I found out what you were doing and to be so intentional about it, not having a second thought, that's what real manhood is all about. It's about sacrificial servanthood to your wife, to your family, and man, I love it. I have two real men sitting on this couch today, and it is an honor. It's an honor. Let's allow you to take us into your world. Let's talk about your past as far as, did you grow up with a father? Was he around? How was that for you?
All right, so my past was a little different. I was adopted. I came from a very abusive family. 18 months, my biological father, I think, or boyfriend, or my biological mother threw me down some stairs, flight of stairs. I was in a body cast at 18 months. And then I got adopted by my parents, which were pretty much old enough to be my grandparents. And so I learned a lot of value through my mom and my dad. So through that structure, I didn't know anything about my original mom, just for the fact that when I had visits, she would read a book and I would try to play with her and she wouldn't pay attention to me. So, but I realized, that God had given me a perfect family, something that was meant for me. And I mean, I still love him. I still have a place in my heart for him. But, I just felt like at that time I needed to move on in my life and not, carry that burden anymore, because I don't know how it would have affected my future.
Yeah.
As a young man growing up and still having dreams and aspirations of my own. So. Yeah. I knew I wanted to be a good person because I came from a good family. Mm-hmm. And my mom and dad, they was old school, strict, come in before the street lights come on. I grew up in New York City, so we had a lot of restrictions, because there was a lot of bad stuff outside. So now I understand that balance. I didn't understand it then, but, just having a structure of knowing at least that I wanted to do music, that was my core,
John, do you think that as parents today, with the whole entitlement issue and stuff, that maybe as parents we might need to back up and let our kids try to figure it out a little bit more?
There's this thing that us as grown-ups, we do, and that's we belittle our children. We belittle the fact of their intelligence, the fact that they're people, that they're human beings. They have feelings, emotions, and when we talk to them a certain way, we tear them down. A lot of your teachings and was like, well, if I tear him down, right, that does not build him up. It destroys his character. And if I don't give him a platform to be able to speak up for himself, that also destroys his character. Because as a man, he'll grow up timid or he'll grow up more rebellious and be more aggressive towards, conflict or even confrontation. And every child that you have has an individual character. So it became my goal to never impress my desires on my kids. My goal was, yes, dad travels, I play guitar, I've done tours and stuff like that, but whatever God has for you, I support 100%. I can't make you do what I do, nor will I enforce it unless you really, really, truly desire to do that. Because if I do, then it's a whole nother dad, because, we don't talk the same on that. And the level of parenting is more of a level of, I'm teaching you what the world's not going to show you.
And yet you got interested in music?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
I think music was kind of already in me. My biological dad was a rapper, and so It was kind of through the DNA system, but it just wasn't molded. And so it was already in me, and that's why I said it wasn't a coincidence, because when my mom married my dad, that's when the floodgates just opened. So that's when I really learned how to mold my craft, try different things. I was just a rapper at first. I can sing now, you know, do stuff on the piano, so it's just like.
Did you at one time say that you would not marry a woman who already had kids?
Yep, I said, because, you know, I was growing up with my friends, and, you know, I had some older dudes in my life at that time, you know, that was more influential, and I was like, you know, but I was like, I don't want an already made family, you know, I'm good. I want, you know, I remember praying, I was like, God, I'll serve you and I'll do all the stuff that church people do. If you give me a fine girl, you know, she got to be bad. Like, because when I get married, I don't want to be looking, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm doubting. That's number one. You got to put me in a good house and I got to have good money. Those three things, then I'll be a Christian. Just being real.
So bring us around to where you
Okay.
met Algie mom and
I never forget, I paid $87 for a bus ticket to go to Michigan. And that was my best $87 investment my whole life, because I was able to see some things deeper than what I was after, you know, spiritually. Like, I was able to connect with God on a level where there was no dependency for me to fall back on. I went to this church service and I was like, man, I hadn't been to church in maybe like months. You know, I had kind of called myself resigning from the church and calling myself backsliding from God at the point, and God was like, whatever. It's not, he laughing, he like, I still got you, bro.
yeah, he backsliding into my arms. That's what you're doing.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm there, and I never forget it, man. You know, she caught my eye because she stood up, she was like, yeah, you know, just radical. I'm like, you know, she just,
still like that.
She's still to this day, you know. Time goes by, you know, we left the church, and I enjoyed it, came back. I moved in with my friend and really began to start getting my life back with God. And really that was first primary thing that I felt I needed, because I was like, you know, for me to be on this girl's level, she gonna see through the crap that's, you know what I'm saying, I've been going through, and I don't wanna, you know, step up the wrong way. I actually wanna be a real person. So I would see her at church. You know, I went to a Wednesday night Bible study. And from that moment on, I had, like, you know, pursued her in a way I had never pursued a woman before. You know, I was like, well, let me get my life together, because she think I ain't right, you know. So this is back in like late 90s, 99, I think it was. And so we talked, man, and she really, like, you know, she told me some stuff and on the phone, and I was like, wow. She was like, yeah, God told me he was sending me a man that wasn't from this state, that he was a musician and he was lost, and he was gonna use me to help bring him back home. And I was like, word? And she was like, yeah. I said, oh, well, I figured that's me then, because I'm from New York. She's like, yeah, because I told God I didn't want a man from Michigan. I wanted him to be from somebody from out of state. And that next day, I met Algie for the first time.
So now you're faced with the challenge of bringing this family together. And was Jonathan Algie's age?
Jonathan, Algie, same age.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so now you're bringing your family together here.
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? Help someone who's in your very situation right now. What were some of the key things that you did to cause that family to gel?
I think first it's important as a man to realize, you know, that it's never the child's fault. You know what I'm saying? And it's your job to be able to own up to the life that you created and never look at it as a mistake. Because no kid's a mistake. You know, you made bad choices, but the end result does not mean a life is a mistake. And I mean, I'm adamant about that, because I felt like, you know, when I was coming up, that my mom felt like I was a mistake, you know, and so I was like, I don't ever want to treat my kids that way. So when those two got together after we got married, I never forget it, they connected. I mean, it was instant. They connected like brothers. I can only say God created that whole family for us to have the energy and the connection that we have. It's been a fun experience watching, you know, the two oldest boys grow up together and have similar achievements, if not very close to the same.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when Algie got his break, how proud were you guys when it happened? Can you remember that day when you got the news? And
it was funny because we got faced earlier in the year with a challenge of like which film to go with. You know, he was able to get 3 different offers at one time. and one was even huge, larger than this. But inside of me, I just felt like, nah, that's not it. And so we talked about it, and I told him, I was like, I think New Edition will be a better fit for you. You know, I had toured with the band in a more of a smaller format. It was called Hez Estate, but I had relations with Ralph, Johnny, and Bobby, and they had formed this group. And it was ironic that it happened. I was like, I think it'd be a good look. I could probably coach you a little bit more about like how these guys reenact. So we wouldn't end up choosing that role. But when it actually took off and I went into filming and stuff like that, seeing it happen, I had moments of like, I'm proud, I'm happy, you know what I'm saying, to seeing my son do this. But at the same time, you know, we never knew the impact it was going to have on the world the way it did when the film actually launched. And now looking back, you know, for that 3-night series, when it aired, it was like, man, one of the greatest feelings ever, you know. And then while filming New Edition, he got the Catherine Bigelow call. And so right after New Edition, you know, he went and filmed the Detroit riots film. So a lot of this stuff just started happening, right? So it was like I really couldn't get into a mode of celebration because I was still in mode of management and making sure, okay, this is good. But, you know, I never really got a chance to celebrate, you know, and it was just recently, honestly, a couple weeks ago, I got a chance to, like, you know, God had brought it to my attention, like, you know, you did good last year, you did good, and there's more on the way, but you're on the right path. And it was like, I felt really good. I mean, it was one of those emotional moments, but I was just like, and the thing that I always tell God is like, you know, I just don't want what I do for one child to ever be overlooked for other children. You know, I mean, Jonathan the same way, you know, he just signed his first major publishing deal with Warner Brothers. And so I was like super proud of him. So I'm like, I got it on both hands, you know, and then our youngest son, Josh, he's being offered, you know, more TV roles as well. He's never acted before and nothing like that. I took some pictures and they're like, oh, we love him. And so, you know, he went on his first audition when we got to LA. And then my daughters are just, you know, the same way. So basically, you know, I feel like when we celebrate as a family, we celebrate and honor everybody, you know, at one time, you know, but we honor Algie because of the accomplishments and the hard work that he puts in. And he makes me proud. He knows that, you know what I'm saying? But vice versa, you know, we kind of like spar off each other, you know. If I'm getting whack in the area, you know what I'm saying, let me know.
How important are fathers?
My dad was the greatest example in my life because he took a child that was not biologically his and made it his. You know, like my dad was the one that put music in me. My dad was just a singer. He didn't play any instruments. I just had a desire to play music. And I love music, you know. But I think fathers are super important because you can see where the disconnect is nowadays. You know, I think a dad is more there for support, especially for a young man, to help be what you look towards, what you aspire to be and draw from, but also somebody that you can talk to, you know, and maybe not talk about everything, but feel like you can talk about everything too.
It blesses me when I see people, first of all, together, acknowledging Jesus as the Lord, knowing the power of God's grace. And God's grace says, what did you do to deserve it?
Right.
Nothing, but he was there to bless you anyhow. And when you think about the power of God's grace working in your life, you're like, wow, I am so loved by God. Y'all hear that? So, you know, allow me to speak directly to the fathers who are listening on Father's Day today. God allowed you to become a dad, to bring a new life into the world, and that's a blessing. Children are blessings from God. No one ever said that being a parent was going to be easy, and sometimes life gets hard, and taking care of ourselves can be a huge task. But if you commit to being a father, or step in to take on the role of a parent or a mentor, God, our Heavenly Father, will be there for you. Dads, listen to me. Your children need you in their lives. They need you to be active in their lives. Watch this. I'll see you next time right here on Your World.
Timely communication, tough love, structure, guidance. What do these behaviors have in common? They are all vital needs that should be met for a son or daughter by their father. But what happens when there's no father present? Children from fatherless homes are 2 to 3 times more likely to fail in school, become teen parents, live in poverty, use drugs, or become part of the criminal justice system. This is the reality for 1 in 3 children. Who is going to step in and step up? Dr. Dollar and his ministry are on a mission to raise awareness about issues impacting our children, like family disruptions caused by divorce, finances, illnesses, or death. Together, with God's grace, we are on a mission to bring healing to children in need, to rebuild lives and families, to strengthen communities. And it's all done through the power of God's grace and people like you who are seeking change. Dr. Dollar brought a powerful and beautiful story to you today about how John Ely stepped into a young boy's life when that boy's father was out of the picture and made a difference. Today, you can help Creflo Dollar Ministries make a difference in the lives of children who are in need. In appreciation of your contribution of $25 or more, you will receive Dr. Dollar's 2-CD series, The Perfect Definition of Manhood. Men today face a culture attempting to define who they are. In The Perfect Definition of Manhood, you will learn biblical principles on how to be a man. During this impactful session, you'll receive everything you need to develop yourself a son or husband in Christ. You'll also receive Dr. Dollar's CD series, God's View on Fatherhood. When we consider the philosophy of fatherhood, we must remember that God absolutely has a place in every man's life. Not only is God relevant, but it is impossible to achieve manhood without Him. Order this life-changing series today and learn the correct role of a father and why we must not substitute worldly philosophies or humanism for Jesus. And for continued inspiration on your journey of growth, as a special gift, you'll also receive the full uncut copy of today's show. You'll hear more stories and solutions on faith and fathering from Dr. Dollar, Algie, and John. We want to make sure parents, relatives, friends, teachers, and other caregivers are equipped to handle the issues confronting our children. For only $25, you can help us make a difference in a child's life. So join the movement of believers who are changing the world by taking God's message to those in need. Ministry partners are standing by for your call. Creflo Dollar Ministries is providing a new understanding of grace and empowering change in the lives of millions of people every day. Thank you, partners and friends. Your love and financial support makes it possible to bring this message into millions of homes all across the globe.